This might be a little loud.
Welcome to the flagship edition of the Rad Turtles Wrestling Podcast. A hard-hitting, in-depth, cutting-edge look into the world of professional wrestling. Now, let's introduce your host, Rad Rob Francois.
Hey guys, welcome to the Rad Turtles Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Rad Rob Francois. I hope everybody is doing well all around the world. Thank you for being here. This is day 7 of the second annual Rad Rumble Week. 7 days of shows this week, leading up until this very moment, the day of the Royal Rumble, which the Rumble has come and gone, and this is your 2021 WWE Royal Rumble post-game wrap-up show. I have 3 amazing guests here. Well, 2.5. First off, I would like to bring... oh, man. Already off the rails. Sorry, Matt. To my right is the one and only RBV from the Hamid Media Group, host of the Monday Locker Room, and so many other shows and projects. He is the workhorse of HMG. It is the one and only RBV. What's going on, man? It's our first show here together. It's good to see you. Good to have you on.
I was going to say, I was advertised, guaranteed earlier in the week, but finally delivered. Yes, it's me. It's that Art of a B to the V. Richard Bronson Vickery, finally here in the post-game wrap-up, and finally making my way to the Rad Turtle Wrestling Podcast.
You've hit the big time now, my friend. So
I finally arrived.
Yeah. Down there, that way, is truly one of the greatest podcast hosts in the history of podcasting. He has several thousand shows that drop to you on the two-man Power Trip Empire and the brand. It is the one and the only Mr. John Paz. Paz, good to see you, buddy.
Hey, good to see you again. How everybody doing out there? Thank you. I thought you were going to say MSG for a second. You said one of the greatest podcasters of all time.
Ooh.
I thought you were going that way. Yeah, I thought you were going a different way with that one. All right.
Kissing ass already.
I appreciate it, though. I appreciate it, though. Thank you.
And, yeah, right down there, it's Matt. Hey, Matt.
Hey, what's up? What's going on, guys? It's your host on the scene where the air is clean and I'm lighting up green. Ya boy, MSG. John Paz, thank you so much for the kind words.
Yeah.
It's nice to finally have someone appreciate me here versus the other guy. But yes, I'm back on this show to give this show more ratings because apparently that's what it needs. And you guys heard I got to do part of that pre-show, kind of give my predictions. So I felt it only be fitting that I watch the event and come back and at least tell you what I thought of it. And then I will continue to probably go about not watching WWE further and continue to watch AEW. Thank you.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, he's contractually obligated to watch AEW since he is the host of Light the Fuse on the Hamid Media Group. So, yeah, there's that. But, yeah, I mean, that's fair. I'm sorry, Matt. I didn't give you a proper introduction. You know I love... You want people to suck your balls, but I'd rather bust your balls, and that's what I do really on a daily basis. But, look, MSG... all jokes aside, works almost as hard as RBV. But no, he is the award-winning producer of the year for HMG. Also, Light the Fuse was an award-winning show at the 2020 Hammy Awards. But again, 2020 was a really fucked up year, so I wouldn't expect anything less anyway. So let's dive right into the Royal Rumble. We started off on the pregame show with the Women's Tag Team Championship match. The WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Asuka and Charlotte Flair were defending their titles against Nia Snax. I couldn't help it. And Shayna Baszler, the former Tag Team Champions. RBV, I'll start with it. What we all pretty much picked Baszler and Nia to win. But what did you think of this match? Did they live up to your pregame expectations?
Well, I really thought seeing this on the pre-show wasn't surprised at all. I thought because they needed the pacing to space this thing, and I thought they were going to go with a more aggressive storyline approach throughout the evening and get things going here. And it really started to unravel from the get-go. Yeah. Match outside of itself, it's what you get with these two in here. Baszler's she seems just so off her game as she's been misused. Nia's completely useless inside the ring. Asuka and Charlotte, they're fine. Sometimes they have trouble working that baby dynamic with one another. Right. But in the storyline itself, what really threw me off here, you knew Flair and Lacey were going to get involved, but again, their interference almost doesn't work. It almost seems to backfire. They should have put Charlotte down much quicker to drive home that knockout punch. We got up on you one more time here. I was a little disappointed that Charlotte was able to maintain her offense and regroup, go back at Baszler. I thought it made Baszler look incredibly weak. But again, we're talking about the bigger picture, the storytelling that's going on here between the family feud, if you will, with the Flairs and Lacey's involvement.
Yeah, I can't agree more with that. You really hit that on the head. Nia, to me, I put out a tweet earlier after this match.
I saw that about the legs.
The leg. Well, I mean, if that's what you call a leg drop, then I have more athleticism than her. But I said that was the most unathletic move I've ever seen in my life. I said Norman the Lunatic had more natural athleticism than Nia Jax. Paz, what did you think of this match?
It was just kind of there. It didn't do anything, and I was thinking the same thing with Lacey Evans and that punch. It almost seemed like they mistimed it a bit. Like she was going for the figure four, and then Lacey forgot she did the little elevation to make it a figure eight. So I don't know. It was a little bit of the timing issue there. And again, wasting the Nature Boy Ric Flair, one of the greatest of all time, on this feud. I just don't like it. I think it's silly. And then you just throw in the COVID stuff, and Drew had it, and all this COVID stuff. And he's 70-something years old, and you keep bringing him to the Performance Center to do this. I don't know. I think it's a waste of Flair, who arguably is the greatest of all time. Maybe not so arguably, but you're kind of throwing him out there. Just to me, I don't know. I didn't like it. It was okay, I guess, but I guess we're going to pretend that him and Lacey are screwing each other. So I don't know. I wasn't too high in it. It was just there for me. It was okay.
Do we have to pretend that they're banging each other? I mean,
yes.
They've actually, Lacey's done a pretty good job on social media about protecting this, because a lot of people immediately were like, well, we know she's married, and nowadays, because that's so out there. She's done a good job protecting that, saying, we're not doing anything. I'm just learning from one of the greatest. So she's using the innuendo and, the flirtatious attitude to kind of dangle that out there while seemingly working both angles.
Yeah, somebody had put a picture of, she was wearing lingerie, and they put a imposed picture of Rick, and she fed into it. So I was like, okay, at least she's keeping kayfabe and keeping it going a little bit.
You sure she just doesn't want to ride Space Mountain? I mean, I'm just saying.
Oldest ride, but it always has the longest lines.
That's right. Matthew, what did you think of this pregame show match?
So, obviously, I haven't watched WWE in a number of years now. Was this new as far as Ric Flair and Lacey Evans? Is this a brand new pairing?
In the last month or so, I think.
Couple weeks.
Yeah.
Last couple weeks. Okay. So it's something that they've been leading up to. So what's the backstory? I mean, I guess I missed this, maybe the video package that led up to this or something.
Rick interfered in one of Charlotte's matches several weeks ago and ended up costing her a win, and she got really pissed and berated him in the ring in front of God and the entire world. So they've been feeding off of that now, and then they got Lacey involved, and they've kind of been a thorn in Charlotte's side for the last few weeks.
MSG, it was Peyton Royce and Lacey against Asuka and Char, and in a misfire, Royce got the win over Charlotte. So now that Lacey Evans has seen that she can kind of manipulate Flair into getting her way and to getting the upper hand and embarrassing Charlotte's kind of the running story behind it.
So Lacey's utilizing Rick against Charlotte here. Okay, I guess correct. I understand the context. As far as the match is concerned, I mean, it was a good, decent match. I thought I don't really have any complaints. I'm not going to sit here and be like, they should have done this and they shouldn't have done that. But I thought the match was, what it was for a pre-show match. I did think Nia Jax was going to win, and that was just because I thought that, they really like to give Nia Jax attention. So she won the title, and congratulations to them. That was your pre-show, guys.
Yep, and they now are the two-time women's tag team champions. Two-time.
Shayna Baszler, right? That's her partner.
Correct.
Man, she is. She could probably kick somebody's ass. Yeah, right. And but I mean,
she's pretty tough.
Looks like she's pretty tough. Yeah. I mean, I would.
Ex-MMA fighter. Yeah, she's legit.
I would not want to mess.
Yeah, she was one of Ronda's girls. I actually think, and I catch shit for this all the time. I'm like the only person I know that thinks that Baszler's somewhat attractive, and I think it's just because I'm really drawn towards girls that could just beat the crap out of me.
You're the first person I've ever heard say that about Baszler.
See, and I think I appreciate that work ethic. I think she's tremendous at what she does. And yes, I guess it would fall under one of my fetishes that I would like to have the crap kicked out of me by my woman.
Hey,
I got a friend that loves Jessime Duke, and I got another friend that loves Marina Schaefer, but I never heard anybody say they love Baszler. So
there we go. History in the making right here.
To each their own. Whatever floats your boat there, Rick.
Yeah, whatever you want to do, bro. I mean, that's all you, homie.
Our first match to start the actual Royal Rumble main card was for the WWE Championship. The WWE Champion, Drew McIntyre, defending his championship against Bill Goldberg. Matthew, I'll start with you. I know you weren't born when Goldberg had his run in WCW, so I mean, I know. Hopefully, you went back on the network and caught up on most of that. But
dude, I'm going to be 33 here in March. But yes, I mean, I was as a child watched the full Goldberg run. Actually, that was part of my adolescence. So I remember it very vividly when Goldberg first got his start in WCW, as I was flipping the channel back and forth. But we don't need to dive into that. I mean, because this is not RTW Rewind. In regards to the match with Bill Goldberg and Drew McIntyre, I found the match to be probably my favorite match of the night. Actually. I like the fact that it wasn't long. It seemed kind of a realistic fight between guys who just got in there to try and beat each other's up. But before anything could really happen, they just hit each other really quick with their finishers, and bing, bam, boom, Drew McIntyre retains. And I was somewhat shocked. I made the prediction. I thought Goldberg was going to win this match on day 6 of the Rad Rumble, which go back and listen to Dr. Jargo. You can go back and listen to that. But I made that prediction. I thought Goldberg was going to win. So kudos for them to keep the strap on him. As you guys explained it to me, your pick was you thought Drew McIntyre was going to win, and it seems that your pick came to fruition.
Yeah, the other three of us, we all knew that Drew was going to win this match. So, I mean, you were close.
It was that clear cut, though. Because it seemed a lot of people were sitting on the edge of their seat, and they were holding their breath this entire, what seemed to be an Iron Man match for Goldberg, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. The longest we've seen him in an actual competition in a long, long time.
Long time, yeah.
And I think that was the intrigue here. You've seen that buzz out of the gate for the Rumble as people were saying, are they really going to do this? Because I don't think anyone would have been completely shocked if they pulled the trigger and gone with Goldberg.
I was a little upset.
Disappointed, maybe.
Yeah, I was a little upset at the initial storyline where Goldberg comes in and says to Drew that you've been disrespecting all the legends and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Drew McIntyre is one of the nicest guys in the absolute world. And, like, he hasn't said anything on TV about it. I didn't think that was the right way to start that off. I mean, they're two big, giant studs. Obviously, Goldberg has the legacy. He is he's a WWE Hall of Famer. He could just that's all you need. That's all you need is just Bill Goldberg going there and be like, you know what? I want to see how I fare against the new talent, against the guy. They didn't have to just make up that bullshit storyline. As far as the match was concerned, it was a typical Goldberg booked match in the last 2 or 3 years since he's come back. It was no.
The entrance still get you hyped, Rob.
Maybe in front of 60,000 people, but not 20,000 TV screens. I don't know. That's just me.
20,000 is a little excessive. Maybe like 100.
There might be there. I don't know. But in any event, it was a good match. But I did tweet out that Goldberg is was a little gassed at the end of that 2-minute Iron Man match. And he looked really sore. Like, it looked like he was really hurting. Like, and you got to give him credit for training and getting his body in shape and preparation for that. But as I said on Twitter, there's a big difference between being in good shape and being in ring shape. They're two different animals. Goldberg was not prepared for this match, but he did what he could with the time that they had. I put the over-under on Twitter at 6.5 minutes. Whoever took the under, you are the winner. But RBV, what did you think of this match? Were you a Goldberg fan? Do you mind seeing him come back in the ring at least once or twice a year?
Yeah, I mean, who didn't get swept up in the Goldberg movement? I mean, it was wrestling was so hot at the time, and then you have really, I mean, just dominating, charismatic figure just come in and just crushing all the competition. You had to get behind it, and it was an incredible movement. And I'm okay with names like Goldberg coming back for these one-offs, these specialty shots like this. But I do, what you were saying there, Rob. They did him absolutely no favors inside of this creative. I mean, right out of the gate, to have him out there rambling on and on about respect. When even on that episode, the person that was showing all the legends disrespect was Randy Orton.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of switched gears. It's funny, over on the Hameen Media Group platform, you can check out the Wednesday locker room, the great Strangler Steve. Actually, he was filling in on the Friday locker room as him and Ben were discussing this.
Yeah.
And he had mentioned that this is most likely 99.9% chance this is the case where after rewrite they flipped the script there at the end and forgot to change everything else through the show that completely made any sense with it, because it's just how they operate now.
And that's how they operate. And we've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks. It's really sad that's what it's come down to is rewriting the show before it happens. I mean, can you imagine Pod spending an entire week writing a show and then Vince is like, God damn it, that sucks, and just tears it up, an hour or two before the show, and you guys have to scramble to get something done.
Yeah, it absolutely sucks for those writers. That's why so many of them quit, or they're not happy there, or you hear how bitter they are, because they probably worked on that all week. They thought it was perfect. Orton is going to be the guy. Makes perfect sense. Legend killer. Everything is right. And he's like, nah, just switch it. We're going to switch it. We're going to have Drew be the guy. Well, what about everything we wrote? No, everything we wrote stays the same. We're just switching the guy. Well, how does it make sense? Drew was literally kissing Hogan's ass, kissing this guy's ass. Like, he's being so nice to everybody. Why all of a sudden? But Vince is, he's nuts, 75-year-old nut. You know what I mean? He gets something in his mind, and he just decided to change it. I didn't think the creative of that was terrible. I felt like Drew kind of tried to save it the week after.
Yeah.
Talking about kind of changing gears a little bit on the respect thing and almost trying to make you forget it. And then if you watch the match, the video package, they completely took that part out of it and made it seem like it was more of a respecting of a legend wanted to test himself. So they even were like, okay, let's just edit the crap out of this, because what Vince did to the creative makes no sense whatsoever. It was just awful. But I kind of liked the match. Just, obviously it was like 3 minutes, whatever, short and sweet. If I was them, I would have started the bell early and have the all outside of the ring count towards the time of the match. Then you would have lost the over under, I think, possibly.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but
exactly.
I don't know. I hate when they do that in the matches start, because it adds to like the hype if the match already starts and then that happens.
Yep.
And then is it going to be a count? Like they could have. I don't know. I feel like they could have made the match a little bit longer, and it kind of was a little annoying. But I liked the match though for the most part. I thought it was pretty good. Obviously, Goldberg's 54 years old. Ring rust is big. He's not going to be in that great shape. You get what you get out of it. He was selling, although maybe you're right. Maybe it was more than just selling. Maybe it was like legit and selling combined. Yeah. But I think it made Drew look good. And I was just kept thinking to myself, though, they don't have enough guys to make Drew look like a better champion. So you got to bring back these legends. So it's a good resume thing. Like Drew McIntyre at Royal Rumble 2021 beat Goldberg. It's just a good first resume. Good thing to check off.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, he beat Brock Lesnar and The Big Show in one night at WrestleMania. So, I mean, they had that match aired. They aired that match on Raw. The day after. So, I mean, that's kind of what they've been doing, just trying to put everything that they could in front of Drew McIntyre to try to get him come off as a credible champion. Before we move on to the next match, that is a good question. RBV, I'll move back to you. Do you think Drew McIntyre has had a good run as WWE champion? And do you think once fans come back that he'll be over?
I think all things considered inside the environment, everything that they're dealing with inside COVID, he's done a tremendous job carrying the weight of the company. Again, I guess my only, gripes about it would be towards the creative side and the company's refusal to really acknowledge that we're in a pandemic. Our backs are up against the wall. I think it would have been so much more impactful if Drew could have been able to speak openly from the heart, like what it means to represent the company as a champion at this time, where other leagues did experience shutdowns, where WWE continued to push through every week to bring original content, to give you a little bit of escape from everything that was going on, and let again speak from the heart about what an honor it was for him to carry the company at that time. I think that would have really set him apart, take him to that next level. But all in all, I thought he's done a tremendous job.
Yeah, I can't agree more with that, Matt. I know you haven't been watching recently, but just seeing what you've seen out of Drew McIntyre tonight, and if you actually caught a little bit of him recently, do you buy him as a credible threat? And who do you think could be taking the crown off of him at WrestleMania?
Well, I feel that I saw the initial victory from Drew McIntyre, so it's interesting to see 9-10 months later where he's at now. So of course you guys broke it down to me on day 6 as far as how he lost the championship and regained it back, how he's done the Roman Reigns Survivor Series match, right? So I don't really have much more information than on who I saw in the ring tonight, right? As far as even in the Royal Rumble. I mean, at this point, the only credible champion I think that would be in line to face Drew would have to be like a Randy Orton, Braun Strowman, and then just some guys there at the end like Rey Mysterio. But it remains to be seen, as you guys have pointed out, that WWE on the stroke of a pen just like to change what's going to happen, and sometimes they don't even change or maybe like analyze how that affects the rest of the card or how the rest of the storylines moving forward. Because based on the outcome of this match, you would have thought Goldberg would have won, because then we see who wins the Royal Rumble, and that naturally should have been an interesting kind of setup. Obviously, Goldberg can't really do a match after seeing the winner of the Royal Rumble. The stamina between the two guys are leaps and bounds. So I don't know if that match would have eventually came to fruition, but it would have still been interesting nonetheless.
RBV, before we move on, one more thing. What do you think about the whole Braveheart gimmick that they're doing with?
Hold on, I'm gonna override RBV for a second. Society Review says he thinks Strowman versus McIntyre is next for Mania. Go for it, RBV.
Well, that's pretty interesting. I know we're having some more conversation when we talk about the Rumble winners and potentials for WrestleMania and all that. I don't know. I think maybe it was like kind of cool the first, but the time when the sword broke, it just completely flopped. So I'm just ready to move on from this damn thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. Our next match was for the SmackDown Women's Championship. The champion, Sasha Banks, defending her title against the recently enhanced Carmella. I haven't been watching in a few months, and I haven't seen Carmella since her reboot. Paz, she looks a little different, kind of like Nikki Bella did maybe when she came back several years ago.
Yes, I did notice that. She definitely looks a little bit bigger, which, no complaints here at all. She still looks great. Great body. She still looks great. She's pretty good in the ring. I feel like a lot of people kind of ripping her, but she's she's pretty good.
I think she's done a good job from what I've seen of her since she's come back, and she's gotten a lot better in the ring.
And her character too.
Yeah. And absolutely. Now, I don't understand the whole Reginald thing. Is he like an image consultant or something like that? Or?
No, he's her sommelier. Come on, you don't know.
Okay.
Whatever the hell that is, it has something to do with wine.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was like, is that like a coffee thing or a wine thing?
Yeah, it's a wine thing. Yeah.
Gotcha. RBV, did you? Sorry, Pots. Did you enjoy the match?
It was pretty good. Sasha Banks is really good. I mean, out of all the women, I feel like she's probably the best. Kind of, maybe not by far, but it's like her, Charlotte, Asuka. But I don't know. I think. I don't know. I like Sasha. I think she's pretty good in the ring. Those two have pretty good chemistry. It wasn't a great match by any stretch, but it was pretty good. And I don't know. I kind of enjoyed it. I always liked Sasha Banks. I think she looks great. Looks like a star. Carries herself well, and usually has a good match with anybody, pretty much.
No, that's true. Rick, Carmella looked like she almost died at one point. Thankfully, she didn't.
Yes.
That was
scary spot.
That was a very scary spot.
Well, I would say a bigger is better. And that is the greatest entrance in professional wrestling right now. Carmella has it going on.
Don't say Kamala.
Well, which one?
I mean,
we can talk about the good one, not the one.
The Ugandan Giant. Yes.
Okay.
That would have been a great entrance. But
Carmella's got going on. I really thought they were going to pull the trigger and move in that direction. I'm just sitting there imagining Vince as like that horn dog, the hound dog from the cartoons, back at Gorilla, tongue rolling back into his mouth, steam coming out of his ears when he sees her. You got to believe he loves everything about her look, her style, thinks what he could promote with her. So I was surprised that they didn't move in that direction. So, you begin to question what is next for her. Well, when it comes to Sasha, you got the crossover appeal, and they completely missed on not doing anything with her appearances on the Mandalorian and all of that. And It's Pod's saying, he's a fan of hers, and so many are. I guess maybe I'm a little bitter because I sit and do too many shows with Ben Hameen, and he points out all those little just nuances in her technical game and the flaws there. To me, I guess she's fine and all that until she opens her mouth.
Yes.
And then again, even that it was like cringeworthy in the promo. There's just little things in her matches where she's trying to do too much, go too fast. But ultimately, that's just some nitpicking. As a marketer, I see the big money and looking forward. I know we're going to talk about Belair winning. I think they could have a huge, big money match at WrestleMania between those two.
Yes, that is true, and we'll get into that a little bit later because that's a very interesting point you just brought up. To me, Sasha, I'll get to you here in a second, Matt, sorry. To me, Sasha Banks is a tremendous wrestler. There's no doubt that her in-ring work is pretty solid. If you want to compare her to Bayley over the last year, I wasn't sold on Bayley first as a heel. I thought she was kind of, I don't know, it just wasn't doing anything for me, but I will give Bayley credit. She busted her ass as the women's champion and really improved her character and kind of, to use a cliche term, found her voice. And I thought she was really the shining example of between those two. And now that they're split up, Sasha has a chance to go on her own. And to me, you're right. As a promo, as a character, she's a channel changer. Look, we could all have great matches any day of the week, but if you don't have a compelling character, no one's going to buy into you. Matthew, you have something to chime in there?
Can you hear me?
No.
You can't hear me?
Not at all.
Okay. Well, I'm being serious. Can you hear me?
Yes, Matt, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I'm asking is because we are now live in the Hami Media Group Discord. So I was trying to do something cool here, Rob, but you can go ahead and continue to be an asshole.
You're such a technical wizard. Dude, if if I couldn't hear you, I wouldn't know the question you were asking me. I'm not a lip reader, buddy. I'm not a lip reader.
I don't know. You could be saying, I don't know, what? Can't be hearing you? Could be making fun of me? I don't know.
I always make fun of you. Society Review says Bayley is a better wrestler than Sasha, but both of them are really bad at in-ring character. Yeah, to me, I mean, I'll agree with half of that. Again, I think Bayley did a fantastic job in the latter half of 2020 to really improve her character. Matthew, do you have anything to say about this match? Did you enjoy Sasha Banks versus Carmella, and do you believe that she is surgically enhanced?
I did not watch this match, so sorry.
All right, so moving on to the next match.
Makes it easy.
Our next match was the Women's Royal Rumble, and I know what you're going to say. You're a misogynist. It's possible, but I'm glad they didn't put this on last again, because given who won the Men's Royal Rumble, this was the right thing to do. But we had our Women's Royal Rumble match. I'm not going to go through all the entrants, but we did have some surprises. We had Tori Wilson show up. We had Victoria show up, and she actually looked like she was still in fantastic ring shape. I don't know if she's still working on the indies. I don't know with 2020 what was going on with her, but she looked really, really good. Jillian Hall was back. What would have been really funny with Jillian is if they put the tumor back on her face. That would have been hilarious. That's a missed opportunity right there. I'm just going to throw that out there. Bianca Belair was she one or was she number two? Number three. Okay, not even close. But Bianca Belair was the fan favorite to win this Royal Rumble match, and I was talking to Paz off air, and I thought that she makes a better heel given her character, because I find it just kind of obnoxious at times. But I will say this, after watching her win this Rumble and the promo that she had, and seeing the emotion on her face, she is a bona fide 100% babyface now. She's going to have a lot of people behind her going into WrestleMania. Matt, since I haven't started with you yet, I'm going to start with you on the Women's Royal Rumble. Were you surprised that Bianca Belair won, and is she the right one to win that match?
I mean, I've seen Bianca Belair before.
That helps.
The hair.
That's good.
The hair flip gimmick thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's her thing. It's kind of cool. And then I saw a couple promos where she was doing the EST, where she was beating guys in competitions, right? I watched those.
Yep.
Sure, she seemed like she was logically should have won, I guess. She had a dominant, fashion throughout the whole match. They brought back some people they had used before, such as a Tori Wilson. Victoria was a nice little surprise. But other than that, I really didn't think – Jillian, that popped me. You're right with the tumor thing. I think it would have been cool if if she had come out on the mic and just talked about how she got the tumor, got rid of it. She could have just been like, I'm clear to wrestle again, guys.
Yeah.
Like, I got rid of the tumor. Like, that would have been great. But ultimately, Bianca Belair had a good overall showing in the Rumble. She definitely became a star. With the elimination of Charlotte Flair there at the end, certainly helped to put her over. I didn't really understand kind of Charlotte smiling. I guess maybe she likes it. I like it. I like the blood. I like the fighting. But other than that,
she's been doing that a lot lately at different things, and I think it's more kind of like, okay, you got me, bitches, you got me.
Okay, well, there you go. Well, they got her, and Bianca Belair was your winner. So overall, from a match perspective, I think Bianca Belair had the best showing, and she should have won. I don't know where the context of she is in the story right now, so I can't really give you a full opinion there. You could probably ask one of these other two gentlemen, though.
I will in a second, but I do want to get to a comment in chat from Brad Shepard, my good friend, the incomparable Brad Shepard. He said, Rob has a huge crush on Nia Jax. Make sure to ask him about that. I wasn't going to bring that up. Brad, I like the ladies a little thick. I'm just going to say I like my ladies a little bit larger than normal. So there is some truth to that. I think she's an absolutely miserable, horrible wrestler and is as dangerous as I was going to say as dangerous as COVID, but we don't need to go there. But I think Nia really is a detriment to the wrestling business. But in any event, and the worst leg drop in history, which we already covered. RBV, I'm going to shoot here to you. What do you think about Bianca Belair? Did you like the story that was told throughout the match? Did you like the story at the end with the emotion and the emotional promo and the crying? And obviously, I think that was a bit of a shoot, to be honest. I think that was real, genuine emotion that she showed. What did you think? What did you think of the way they presented her tonight?
A few things on the Rumble overall, as we're talking about, some of the surprises, the comebacks, some of the names that we haven't seen in a while. Even before the show was getting going, I was, asking myself, where the hell's Naomi been? So it was nice to see her. Tremendous athleticism inside the ring. You get Naomi in there, and down at 7, you get Toni Storm. There was a whole lot of ass inside of this match in the early going. It was packed in the back between those two. I thought, for Bianca Belair, again, we're talking about marketability. You can strap the division on her back and start printing your own money with her. You talk about maybe is she have more of appeal as a heel? Absolutely not. She's got that sass. She's got that flair. She's got incredible athleticism, incredible strength. She's a total package for them right now, and they're finally pulling the trigger, moving in the right direction. Again, I think what you really need to do is where you seem a little confused right now with Sasha Banks as a character. You have to really ratchet Sasha is the best Sasha. Let her just be as evil as can possibly be, the total mean girl in the situation. Let Belair kind of overcome that. The storytelling, a hat tip to whoever agent this thing, getting down to the final 3. It goes back to what really brought Belair to the table. She kind of emerged to that forefront where the universe really noticed her going into this WrestleMania season last year, where she was playing that third wheel in the rivalry between Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. Right. You get down to those 3, then you eliminate Charlotte, and I think a lot of people get excited. I think a lot of people right are like, okay, they're going to give Charlotte a back-to-back here because they put that over earlier in the show. Pretty big. How big of an accomplishment. I think seeing Charlotte get eliminated, a lot of people kind of feel relieved, and then that excitement level rises as you see 2 young stars like that with Ripley and Belair. I don't think anyone would have been disappointed either way, but they ultimately made the right choice to go here with Belair to give her that huge moment.
I can't argue with that. Society Review said, by the way, it looks like Ronda Rousey is done with WWE. 2 years gone with no mention. I went out on a limb and I had a bold pick for Rousey to be a surprise entrant and win the Rumble, and alas, she did not show up. Paz, given what we talked about earlier and RBV's compelling argument there, do you do you kind of agree with him that Bianca is a bona fide babyface and is potentially the future of the women's division?
After that promo and after the win, yeah, for sure she came off that way. But I don't know, leading up to it, I was thinking like the EST, all that kind of stuff that she's saying, the flipping of the hair, did come off a little bit heelish to me, but now I'm kind of seeing it more come into play as the big baby face.
Yeah.
With Sasha Banks, though, it's interesting. If that is the match, is it going to be face versus face, or is Banks going to go more heel? I know it's kind of an interesting direction to take, because Belair definitely after that, I mean, is the motion, everything else, she's definitely going to be the big baby face. One thing that I noticed, though, about the way it started, the Royal Rumble, the women's match, Bayley at number 1 was smiling and happy, and then Naomi came in, she was smiling and happy again. I was like thinking to myself, like, okay, I remember DiBiase was like number 1 and Flair was number 1. Like when they come out, they're like pissed. They're like, oh God, I'm number 1. Like, why in the hell would Bayley be happy that she, you know what I mean? That she has to be number. That just struck me as like no psychology right there. I was like, that was weird. That kind of made no sense. Charlotte at the end kind of made sense that she was smiling, just for the fact that I think she was like, oh, like RBV said, they friggin' one up me, like Mariano Rivera after he let up the big hit to Luis Gonzalez. He smiled a little bit. He's like, what can I do? It's like one of those things. But Bayley to come in the ring smiling, I thought that was a really weird thing for a heel too. And like, I was like, okay, I know she's trying to be cocky, but it's just really, really weird. Like, you're number 1, you're getting in the ring, you should be pissed,
especially for a Karen.
Yes. And then Naomi comes back, who like she thought she kind of got rid of because she beat her. Like, she comes back, wouldn't you be like, oh no, not you again? She's like, oh yeah, it's you again, yay! Like, I don't know, just really, I don't know. I guess that's the way she was told to do it, but it was just handled poorly there. And I thought Alexa Bliss might get a little bit more than she got in that match. I
completely glanced over
that.
That was weird. I did like the elimination. Is you got Ripley like, what's everyone afraid of? There's a 4-foot girl trying to act scary. She just walks over and tosses her like nothing.
Yeah, that kind of deflated the entire character that Alexa's been working on. And Paz deflated my entire argument about Bayley in 2.5 minutes. So good job on that, Paz. You are wise beyond your years.
Sorry, I had to do it. Sorry.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I'm used to it. Overall, I thought it was a good women's Rumble match. I thought it was better than years past. I thought the surprise entrance did pretty well. I mean, Jillian was in there for a little while. Again, Victoria looked fantastic. Tori Wilson didn't really provide much, but one thing about this women's Rumble match that I took exception with, and I told my wife this, I said, watch, when every entrant comes in, they're literally going to get all their shit in and beat up about 6 or 7 other women that are in there every single time. And they pretty much all did that.
Poorly executed. Yep.
Yeah, poorly executed. I'm not a big fan of that. It's okay if some of your bigger stars do that, but to have everybody come in there and just take 4, 5, 6 women out, and just knock them down and get their moves set in. I'm not a big fan of that. Did you notice any of that, Matthew?
Yeah, I mean, it's a reoccurring theme. Everything is kind of a little bit choreographed in that sense, and I'd even say there was a lot of that in the men's Royal Rumble as well, where you had a group of guys waiting. Come on, let's go! Like, let's do that! Like, they're just, or everyone just kind of stops, or they're like, and they're like looking at the entrance ramp, trying to like, okay, who's coming out? And she's just like, eh. And and that could just be camera angle too, I mean, because I did like the production. I thought tonight, specifically, maybe just because I like the close-ups for the men's Royal Rumble. I really liked how when everyone came out, they kind of were like right up in the frame. With I don't know, I was watching when you're watching that in 4K. It's pretty cool. You're like, whoa, So
they picked up that camera from the NFL because they've been using
exactly that. Right. CBS and Fox especially have been using that. Usually after plays or after a touchdown, it's almost like a cinematic type view, with a different camera.
Like it's either someone's on holding a gimbal or it's actually like somebody or the electronic one, whatever. I'm sure everything's state of the art in there right now. So
yeah. Yeah, I noticed that too.
That being said, I did appreciate that at least that they're trying. It looks like to build storylines from these Rumble matches, and they at least tried to do that here in the women's matches. So, but yeah, to your point, they did a lot of waiting around and okay, who's going to come out next?
Yeah, which we saw a little bit in the men's match too, in a couple of spots, but it wasn't nearly as noticeable. Obviously, Bianca Belair has won the Royal Rumble match. She will face whoever she chooses at WrestleMania. It can be for the Raw Women's Championship or the SmackDown Women's Championship. We brought up Sasha Banks as being probably a better opponent for her, but if you want to throw a curveball in there, why not Asuka, Rick?
Well, really, we're talking about, the road to WrestleMania. We still got a lot of stops on the way, so they could throw a lot of different curveballs at us here. You could still end up, as I was talking about, bringing that story back full circle. You could have at some point where Charlotte takes the title off of Asuka, and Asuka gets pushed to the sidelines as she did last year,
right?
A bit inside this women's division. You might want to set that up and come back to that. You might want to get Ripley involved into that. I mean, there's a lot of twists and turns that we're going to see. I still think you just look at both of them represent the blue brand. If I'm Fox, I'm pushing real hard. I want that on my programming. I mean, I just think from a marketing standpoint, you've got a dream situation. And it's the reality of it as well. Everything going on in society, you can even bring, race into it. You got these two strong black women. Yeah. And their different ties and, how marketable and crossover ability that you have there. Tremendous opportunity for them.
To jump in here, Bobo pointed out that we forgot about the reunion of the Iconics. Did you guys like that?
Well, you talk early on in that match. I mean, Billie Kay, once again, character work over strong. She was the highlight of that thing. Going out there and giving the headshot and the resume to all the different individuals and getting turned down. And then when Jillian comes out there and she presents Billy and Jilly, and they form their little tag team and go in there.
Yeah.
And then Billie Kay she was reluctant to do the Iconic pose because of her now affiliation where she's been hanging out with the Riot Squad.
Right.
And just wondering if she should participate in that. So, Billie Kay, you give her an inch and she shines for a mile.
Yeah, no, that is true. And I enjoy both of them together. I haven't been a big fan of them separate. And I wasn't really sold that entire tag team for a while. I thought they were obnoxious, but that's the point. They were heels. They did their jobs. But I wouldn't mind seeing them back together. I was surprised to see Liv Morgan back in the Riot Squad because I have not been watching weekly television for a few months now. I didn't know that was a thing. All the money they spent and all the time in the vignettes to relaunch Liv Morgan, and it completely failed, and now she's kind of back where she started. That doesn't make sense, Paz. Why do you think they gave up too early on the Liv Morgan experiment?
I don't know. I always feel like they do that. It's just like lazy booking or something. It's like, let's just go back. You go back in the Riot Squad, or hey, we need a tag team partner for Ruby Riot this week. Just you Liv. But that goes against the storyline. Just say that they're friends again. It's like I feel like it's always like an easy out for them, or just bad booking, or just bad creative. It's just like, just put her back in the Riot Squad. What about everything we did with her? Yeah, but we need it for the next couple of weeks. We need we need a tag team because Nia Jax and Baszler need opponents. So it's like, but it's just like whatever they need, they just easily do something stupid creatively and wedge it in there. Like, no, wedge it in, even though it doesn't make sense. I feel like it's just an easy out for them.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that she did after all the vignettes was show up during the Lana wedding with Lashley, and they kind of put her in a faux lesbian type situation, which never got paid off. Yeah. It was never even mentioned again the week after. So I mean, that just shows you the continuity issues that WWE has with writing their programs. But all in all, I thought this was one of the better Royal Rumble matches from the women.
Hey, at least Lana got her revenge on Nia Jax finally.
Yeah,
that's a good point. I didn't expect that.
I did like her entrance. I liked Lana's entrance. I liked how she came.
We all did.
And acted very I was going to say she came out and acted very distressed. Like I liked the emotionals, the facial expressions she made. Like she looked, great. Now I've got to get into this match. She did a good job selling that. I like that.
She did. I still think athletically she sucks. But her character.
The bell rang, as Ben Hameen likes to say. So.
Yes, that's exactly right. Our next match was for the. It was the Men's Royal Rumble.
No, wait, last man standing.
Oh, last man standing. Goddamn! I'm reading the lineup here on CBS Sports. I'm gonna throw them under the bus.
The big dog, the tribal chief.
They did a shitty job recapping this. Yes, it was
really?
for the Universal Championship. The Universal Champion, the big dog, the tribal. Yeah, they suck. The Tribal
I
Chief.
really like the WWE packages here. It got me into it. Like, I mean, not to cut you
No,
off,
absolutely
Rob, but
right.
like this vignette package, like it sucked me right in. I was watching this at work, dude, and I'm like, oh my, okay, good. This is interesting. I liked how they had set everything up, showed me all the different matches they'd gone back and forth. I had heard people have been criticizing the Adam Pearce thing, and then to see how they like played it out, how it was all done, it sucked me right in. So I was ready for this match, but I'll let you continue.
I'm glad you mentioned Adam Pearce because he is in really good shape, and he's still a much larger guy than 90% of the AEW roster. I just want to throw that out there.
NWA champion.
That's right. Look, video packages from WWE have always been fantastic, and it really looks like they've stepped up their game in 2020 because, they had nothing else to do. They're not touring, so really did a great job to set up this match. But it was Roman Reigns defending his Universal Championship against Kevin Owens for the second time in as many months. Roman Reigns defended his title at TLC, and then they fought again in a steel cage match on SmackDown, which took KO out for a little while. This match was the last man standing match, which I'm glad that stipulation was added once they announced that this was going to be that match, because really it's always a fun match for me. It's one of my favorite stipulations to see where it goes and all the crazy stuff that they do. That being said, WrestleMania last year went a little bit too long with Edge and Randy Orton, but I thought this match was good until the end, which we will all talk about here in a second. But Kevin Owens did a really good job, and whoever booked this match and whoever was the agent did a fantastic job making Kevin Owens look like a star. Not that he already isn't, but to hang with a guy like Roman Reigns, who is the guy, who is the biggest thing in wrestling right now, arguably, I thought they really put a good shine on Kevin Owens and made him look like a legit tough guy and a credible threat to Roman Reigns' title, because going into this match, everybody's like, oh, fuck that. There's no way Kevin Owens is going to win this match, but they did a really good job, especially with the finish with the handcuffs before it got botched. Was really a unique thing that I'd never seen before, and the ref bump was absolutely fantastic. I'll start with you, Paz, on this one. Did you like the pacing of the match? Did you think there was a little bit too many shenanigans going on? I mean, we used a forklift. We had all kinds of tables all over the place getting broken. We had a handcuff to a light truss, and a really unique finish that got botched by poor Paul Heyman. But that aside, what did you think of this match?
To be honest, I didn't like it that much just because I was kind of done with the feud anyway, just because he beat him TLC, beat him in the cage match. It's like, wow, now we're going backwards to the last man standing. Like I was already done with the feud already. To me, to be honest, I'm not a Kevin Owens fan at all. Never liked him. I always feel like he's the momentum killer. When he was the Ring of Honor World Champion, they did the worst they've ever done. When he was in NXT, Smojo was so hot that he came in and kind of was still in the thunder. I was like, he kind of cooled off NXT for me personally for a bit. This feud, I was like, okay, don't have it go on for too long. Now the feud's gone on way too long. I know I'm done with it. But the match itself, it literally reminded me of a couple different AEW matches and spots that I've already seen before from AEW with the golf cart, with the forklift. So I couldn't get into it. And even obviously the Heyman botch and the thing at the end kind of killed it for me too. But like I wanted to get into it because I love Reigns and I love this character and he's just so cool. But it's just like I wasn't buying Owens as a threat really. And then you throw on top of it, I've seen some of these spots from AEW, so it's already in my head. I'm like, oh man, I saw Sammy Guevara do that. Oh, I saw Matt Hardy. I saw Omega do this spot. So it was like one of those things where it's like, man, I was like, are they stealing from them or do they not watch AEW? Like, I don't know, somebody in there should have kind of like said to them, guys, kind of saw this spot already. It's been done for, but I don't know. But maybe I'm wrong. But that's just my take on it. It was okay. I'm glad Reigns obviously got the win, but I wasn't feeling it.
To me, the golf cart should have been like, yeah, that's a direct ripoff. Like, I can see WWE's using forklifts from the past. I mean, they even did as far as back as Halftime Heat with The Rock and Mankind.
Yep.
But really, the golf cart thing to me, I don't know. Somebody should have known about that. And maybe it was a direct ripoff. But Society Review says, falls from 20 feet, hit by a cart, falls from 20 feet again, speared through the stage, still gets up. That makes it look corny. Fair. I mean, that's a fair assessment. I don't know, Rick. Did you enjoy this match? Do you agree with Paz's assessment of this? What were your thoughts of the way they booked it?
Well, I'd say Paz over there bearing Kevin Owens, and when we know exactly why he's doing it, or at least I know, because he's reached out to Cornette to try to have him back on the show. So he's kissing a little butt there, agreeing with the big man there.
Possibly.
But no, I think there's a major difference. And obviously the similarities, there was a few times throughout, not just match, but through this show where you'd seen some things that AEW has done. I think, hey, the award for best use of a golf cart in a wrestling match goes to WWE because they did it in a serious fashion. Mm-hmm. They were using it to this is a blow-off match. He's doing anything and everything. The head of the table. I mean, he's running.
That's true. It wasn't Sammy running away from it, scared to death. Right.
And a lot of times in AEW, you see in that kooky cornball type where this was malicious. This was war.
Mm-hmm.
Matt,
to your credit, Rick, that's exactly what I was going to say, Rick. It was quick. It was hit, boom, done. It wasn't like, I'm coming for you, Sammy, right? It wasn't a comical manner. It was quick. It was hit. It was done. I liked the match. I just thought that it went too long, like 8 minutes too long. I didn't need to see the backstage stuff. Didn't need to see realistically, if you wanted to do the cart thing, and then if he had picked them up and taken it back out to the arena, I would have been okay with that. I didn't need to see him jumping off of the forklifts through the table. And then, as Society Reviews point out, there was a lot of falls from 20 feet.
Yeah.
And then
I think MSG, you're right there. I mean, this thing went just almost a little under 25 minutes. You take this thing down to 20 minutes, and you're good.
It's long. And I mean, and then on top of that, the handcuff thing, not necessarily Paul Heyman's intention and fault. So I know shit can happen in wrestling. So I'm not going to be like, you fucked up, haha. But, that took away from the match too. And unfortunately, they were unable to pivot correctly because they probably didn't anticipate what would happen in that situation. That's something that hopefully that they'll maybe understand to, take precautions in the future.
I mean, Bobo says Heyman versus handcuffs, 5 stars. I mean, that's pretty accurate.
Says it all right there. Yeah,
it was a unique spot. I like the ref bump, as I said earlier, at the 9 count, or 9.5 count. I was like, holy shit, they're gonna do it. And then Roman takes the ref and throws him into the lighting truss. That was a smart move. What was bad was obviously Paul Heyman coming out, waddling out. With the key to the handcuffs and trying to get them unlocked. Referee is counting because Roman is still down. And then all of a sudden the ref stops counting. And I'm like, fuck me. I literally just had Jimmy Corderas on this week on day 3 of the Rad Rumble. And one thing Rumble. Thank you, Matt. One thing Jimmy always says, and what he was trained to do, was treat it as a shoot. If the characters fuck up, that's on them. They will deal with Vince when they get back. Referee stops counting. Kevin Owens should have had the presence of mind when he saw that happening to stop selling. Go over there and see that Paul's having a fucking problem. And, do something. Kick Roman, try to break up the count. And do something to where they can try to figure that out. But the fact that the referee stopped counting for a good minute, probably, or it seemed like a fucking eternity.
I mean, easy as fix. Kevin Owens is getting up, he's stumbling, and he accidentally knocks the ref out. Or
there you go, another ref bump.
And then you could have given him an opportunity to get the keys out or something. But
it made it look really bad. It made it look like, all right, I mean, we know this is fucking, kayfabe
but when you're in the heat
is dead.
Things happen, you're not thinking things through as well.
But Kevin's a pro, dude. Kevin's been around a long time. He should know better to do that. If somebody from the back should have done something. Do another run-in or some kind of an ad-lib. You have to, because when the referee stops counting and Roman is still clearly down, and obviously they didn't show the ref at all after that until the finish.
Or Heyman could have just came out and pushed the ref or something. He
could have done that too.
Yeah. Yep.
And somebody should have done something. Vince should have been on the fucking horn in the referee's ear saying, fucking do something, god damn it, this is ridiculous.
Right, go out there, push the ref and help Roman out there.
Even if Vince came out and pushed the ref, I don't give a fuck. Don't make it look like it's fucking fixed.
Well, you got to remember that Vince is probably a little weary of that. Last time he had to run out and fix a problem at the Rumble, he blew out both quads. So.
That's fair. That's
you have Heyman do it. He was already waddling out there.
That's fair. But yeah, poor Paul Heyman. I mean, you got to feel bad for them. It was a botched spot in what was otherwise, in my opinion, a good match. Do you agree with my assessment, gentlemen, of Kevin Owens? I know Paz still doesn't think so, but I'll ask you other two. Kevin Owens looks like a tough guy, an incredible threat. I mean, Roman sold his ass off for Kevin, but I really think they can go back to Kevin down the line, maybe later on this year, because he hasn't had a run since Triple H handed him the title, and he lost it. But Kevin Owens is still, in my opinion, I'm a fan. I think he's a good promo. I think he's a tough worker. Rick, I'll go to you on that. Do you see Kevin Owens ever getting a run again? And did you at least like the shine they put on him tonight?
Well, that's a really good question. I was going to kick it back around to everybody here and talk about where does this leave Kevin Owens?
Yeah,
I do agree with Paz, and I really wasn't excited going into this match. I even made a comment over on Facebook and Hami Media discussion group. Where you check out during every big event. You can come over and join all the melding of the minds as we kind of chat as the shows are going on. But I would have been much more anticipating a tremendous showing if it had been Pierce still in there. But the match itself, for the most part, played out really well. Kevin Owens bringing everything that he could here. But we're on the road to WrestleMania, and again, it doesn't look like there's a serious seat at the table for Kevin Owens. And it seems to be a recurring theme with him. So, yeah, is he going to continue to hit that glass ceiling where, yeah, he's a good off-season or as we on that build kind of challenger, potential champion? I think that's what he's got limitations right there. And maybe no fault of his own. Maybe it's just placed on it by the company, but it is a reality with him.
Paz, do you think he's just a good hand and he's the perfect guy to just kind of be a transitional guy or just a fill-in guy? Because he's not going to go out there and disappoint. He's always going to put out a solid match, and he's always going to put out 100% worth of effort. I kind of see where you're going, or what you said earlier. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, definitely one of those guys. He's a good hand. He's the guy like the number one contender. Then he loses, because he's going to have the good match. He's kind of like the guy, like you said, like almost like the transitional guy. He's not going to get the WrestleMania main event, but he'll get the Fastlane main event. He'll probably have a good match, or something along those lines, or Royal Rumble main event maybe. But then he won't win it. He won't win the big one, or some sort of shenanigans. I don't know. It's just one of those guys. He's not like a big star to me.
Matt, were you a fan of him at all throughout his career in Ring of Honor?
Well, I mean, I didn't really watch a lot of Ring of Honor, to be quite honest. Ring of Honor itself.
You could have made something up. Like, you literally could have said, fuck, man, he was so good at Ring of Honor. You're really killing me when I throw it to you here, buddy.
Well, I'm sorry, Rad Rob. I don't lie to my fans, and that's why they voted at me as the 20th of the year, because they know I keep it real.
Well played.
That being said,
well played.
Thank you. Ring of Honor, was never the biggest fan. Didn't have the best storylines, so I'm not really into just watching people do wrestling without really having something like to find. It's like just watching people on the set of a movie set just perform their stunt moves and be like, okay.
So you watch porno for the plot line?
I don't watch porno. So that being said,
you watch AEW, and there's not much going on there.
To your audience, and I know you're lying. If you open up your browser and hit P, the hub comes up.
No, not really. I mean, it would probably come up a couple of different things because Google will give you anything you want. But no, I don't regularly partake in that. But we don't need to really get into my sexual exploitations here on the Royal Rumble. If we can get back to the question at hand regarding Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens itself, I am a fan of. I've enjoyed his in-ring work. I think he's evolved greatly since his time, even with his pairing with Jericho. And I think that's probably what I became a fan of Kevin Owens. What do I think is next for Kevin Owens? Well, I mean, Kevin Owens itself sounds like he could be paired up with Goldberg, right? I mean, he lost a couple years ago. Got nothing going on for Goldberg. Why not you give Kevin Owens, Goldberg a quick little match at WrestleMania? Maybe Kevin Owens gets his win back, and we never have to see Goldberg ever again. With Roman Reigns, I think he's going to end up fighting Edge. I think that's probably the built-in marquee WrestleMania main event. And of those, you got two guys who both can go. And then you have Roman go over because then that cements him even more as the heel. So, maybe we're getting a little too ahead there.
Well, as we talked on day 6 of the Rad Rumble on our roundtable with Dr. Jargo, the show that RBV was supposed to be on but didn't show up, even though the Royal Rumble is his favorite event.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. We did mention that Brock Lesnar would have been a fantastic opponent for Roman Reigns, and especially if you make Brock the babyface. There's still a lot of money left in Brock Lesnar, especially if he is the babyface, the Roman's heel. But obviously, that's not where they went yet. He did not show up in the Men's Rumble. But do you think there's a chance, Matt, that he still could show up between now and April?
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it here in the Men's Rumble, but I definitely could see them doing that, right? And then just do Edge versus McIntyre for the championship. I mean, that's a good matchup too. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I was just trying to think what's going to sell the most. What's, especially after getting $1 billion from NBC, what are they going to try to line up to make the biggest event possible? I feel like Edge versus Roman is your big marquee match. So I don't feel like Roman versus Brock is going to happen at this point, but it could happen because WWE likes to just shift things on a dime. Who knows? Next month, Edge could lose it to Orton at whatever pay-per-view they call that, Elimination Chamber, Highway to Hell, Road to Paradise, Touch My Road. I don't know.
Hopefully, Great Balls of Fire never makes a comeback.
Fastlane? Is that what it is? Fastlane?
It is the Elimination Chamber, and I think, was it No Mercy?
There was a Fastlane at one point in there.
There was at one point, yeah. Well, let's move into the men's Royal Rumble match since Matt already kind of. Well, I mean, I led him in that direction because that's what I do. Rick, I'm going to throw this to you. A spoiler alert: we all know the Edge won the Royal Rumble. So, do you see Drew McIntyre going up against Edge, or do you think Edge, goes over to Roman? What do you think's a more marquee matchup?
I think what's interesting here is that WWE has a handful of options that they can go down. Obviously, we don't know the conversation's already taking place. Paz and I were having a conversation the other day about, potentially the dream when The Rock comes into play here. Do they try to hold off for that when they're in Hollywood in a couple of years? Do they try to do that in Dallas next year? Is it without having the actual, they're going to have fans at WrestleMania, but the attendance, is it worth bringing him in for this at this point? You have a tremendous story already there with the pieces with Brock Lesnar, who could come in and, pull views for the Elimination Chamber, and maybe that's how he becomes a challenger to Roman Reigns. And
you got the built-in storyline with Paul Heyman being, conflicted between the two, right? So
you could, the Universal title is a new championship that Edge never had the opportunity. He when he retired, he was champion. This is a new obstacle, and what better way, to claim that prize than going over the head of the table, the big dog, Roman Reigns. To have that there, I think they have those stories built in. Honestly, I think as we're kind of laying all those out, they really need to get something to build some fire under a program for McIntyre. Maybe they tie in what they were trying to do and had a great failure. They can turn that into a success where it is another legend in that's coming after Drew McIntyre, and then they try to right that ship where he is appreciative, and these guys go out there and have a match for the ages.
Please be Shawn Michaels. Please be Shawn Michaels. I'm just saying. I don't know if I can see bald Shawn Michaels wrestling at WrestleMania, but
Paz and I talked about the other day. If you're looking to sell, what would you do in Texas? And then we talked about just bringing everybody from Texas back for something like that, and Michael was included.
Yeah, no, I look. Shawn Michaels is my favorite of all time.
Also, Stevie Ray, who hangs out in Texas, you can bring him back too.
Yeah, Stevie Ray, Booker T, Lance Von Erich. But Paz, I'll throw this to you. Did you agree with WWE backstage leaking the results of the 1 and 2, seeing that's going to be Edge and Randy Orton? Because back in the day, you're an old school fan like I am. We used to see the tumbler. We used to see the guys pick their the balls out of the tumbler and get their number. And now in 2021, 1 and 2, Edge and Randy Orton. Sure.
Hated that. Just ruins it for you. Like, let's say Royal Rumble 89, Axe and Smash 1 and 2. Like, you get so excited. Cool. It was so cool, so different. I don't never want to know who's 1 and 2. I don't know. There's something about just being surprised. So that almost took me out of it for a little part, even though I like Orton a lot and Edge is good, obviously returning legend. So it's one of those things. It's like, I don't know if I'm feeling it just because, I don't know. It took me a little bit to get into the match because I was like, that was so lame. Why the hell did they leak that out? Tell us I don't know, just kind of for whatever reason just took me out of it just for a brief period, just because I don't like that. I want to be surprised. You want to be like, whoa, who drew number 1 in the Royal Rumble? Like, I don't know. It's just an excitement factor wasn't there for it.
Matt said those very words, actually, that's lame. He mentioned that in the Hameen Media Group discussion
very good.
Group. So,
well said.
Yeah, and I agree. like Natty and number 30 in the women's. Even I don't even like that because they could have saved a intrigue that maybe Ronda's coming back or maybe it's Trish Stratus or whoever.
Yeah, it's like, oh, great. Like, I wonder who 30 is. They already told us who.
Especially Natty. No offense to nothing happened to Natty Neidhart, but that's what I call her here on the show. But yeah, she's a channel changer to me. Matt, you look very in thought.
Thinking about it,
yeah.
I don't like the fact that Michael Cole doesn't fight for the right to not say foreshadowing dumb shit. It's been 11 years to the day since Edge has won the Royal Rumble. Okay, well, Edge is going to win the Royal Rumble tonight. Thank you, Michael Cole, for telling me right off the bat.
But he did do the Daniel Bryan gimmick too. Like Daniel Bryan has always wanted to win a Royal Rumble match.
Yeah, that doesn't
His career's coming to a close. The internet.
Whenever Michael Cole does the date thing, to the day, it's to the day with
okay, all right,
and
that's fair.
It's going to happen. That's like his shtick. So I would just
vintage Cole. Yeah.
I'd like for him to do it at the end. Like, just do it at the end and be like, right. Wow, it was 11 years to the day. And then you can, as a fan, go, oh, yeah, that's right. Cool. Not, oh, you just gave it away.
Fair. So that's fair.
That was my first complaint. To Paz's credit, though, I was not satisfied as well with starting with Randy Orton and Edge. I felt like they gave these guys more than the 90 seconds or 2 minutes, or maybe just I felt like it dragged. I was like, come on, when's the next person going to come out? Like
it did seem like they fudged with the clock a little bit on that one.
Yeah. So
did they ever announce the time increments?
I don't think they did.
Rules. They didn't do
they
the
didn't
rules
go over anything.
Either.
Yeah, they didn't go over
anything.
anything.
They didn't do the numbers by the numbers.
On
they
the
didn't
pre-show, on the pre-show, I think Charlie and Jerry were saying it was a minute 30 seconds.
Okay. So they've done that several. They flip-flop time with a minute, 90 seconds, 2 minutes.
They didn't do the numbers package this year, did they? Where they go, the numbers, did you hear by the numbers?
They kind of did. Yeah, they did. Yeah, Graves was a big part of that. It wasn't like the normal voiceover guy.
Like, yeah, exactly. Where's that voiceover
they
guy?
changed it.
Home, you can hire him.
Yeah, they changed it. Society Review says, MSG, quote, fuck Michael Cole.
I didn't say that.
I mean, you pretty much said that.
No, I just said fight for your right as a lead commentator and the guy telling the story to tell Vince, yo, let's save this stat till the end. Like, it'll be better for the actual fans because our fans are smart. They're not stupid. And when they know you foreshadow stuff like this, because our demographic is 35 to 50-year-olds, let's play to that. Let's not be dumb.
Do you think Edge gave away that he was winning at all? I always feel like he gets like extra emotional for his entrance. Have you ever noticed that, like, when he's going to win? It's a weird thing. I was like, because I predicted he was going to win, and Rob, you know that. But I was like, that's weird. Daniel Bryan was the betting favorite for God knows whatever reason he was. That somebody must have leaked something out there that he was going to win. But I don't know, for some reason I was like, I'm really confident with Edge. Then he came out. I'm like, now I'm super confident in Edge. Just the way, I don't know. He, for some reason, to me,
Michael Cole said January 11th, 2000.
And then Michael Cole said that, so I doubled or tripled down on it. Like, not only did Michael Cole say, not only did I think he was going to win, but then I was like, he actually, I don't know, for some reason, I could be nuts saying this, but I was like, he kind of seems like he's extra excited out there. Like, something's going to happen with this guy. Yeah, he was extra emotional. Yeah.
I was going to say emotional, the fact that he's been out for quite a while with the torn tricep and all that, bicep. And,
maybe I'm looking too much into it.
He's back. But no. To your point, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, maybe Edge, it's like, this is finally, my moment after all these years to win another Rumble.
Yep.
I will say, just highlight a couple things. I mean, the Hurricane Helms thing, that was cool. I mean, we've seen it before, but I mean, that was cool to see him come out and get his little quick moment. I liked the Edge and Christian moment. That was cool because that was, of course,
that was amazing. And I don't think Edge,
decade.
I don't think Edge knew he was going to be there. Like, Edge was almost crying when he saw Christian come out, and I think that was a legit shoot.
I don't know, probably not, because I think everything is, as Ben Hameen has said, everything is written down to a T of what's going to happen nowadays. So,
but I still don't think Edge knew about it. That's just my opinion. Just the way he sold that.
If you want to be a mark, you can be a mark. That's fine. I don't believe that that was choreographed. I do believe that was. They knew it was going to happen, and I think just the emotions got the best of Edge, and it was a great moment for him because that was the first time they'd been in the ring together for so long. So.
And Christian was cleared to wrestle, which we
saw. Did anyone else? I was holding my breath every time he took a bump.
Yeah, he looked fantastic, by the way.
Yeah, he did look great. Yep.
And he really looked in good in-ring shape. I think they may have given
when Brian hit him with the bicycle drop kick off that top, man. He took a weird fall. He went over. He bailed out and laid in that corner for a while.
He did. He's definitely going to feel it tomorrow, and I think Edge is even feeling it right now to be in there from wire to wire. But I will say this.
Surprises in there.
Yes, I will. Carlito, RBV, drug test or no drug test?
No, you can't drug test part-timer.
Free agent, man. Free agent.
Yeah, there you go. He was fucking jacked. I mean, he looked fantastic, and he could still go in the ring.
I think, long awaited. We've been hearing this for, six weeks to 2 months about his return. It's going to be interesting to see if he has inked a deal and kind of what they have in store for him. Again, going back to the conversation Paz and I were having last week when we were talking about Orton and Edge, and as great as they are, will we talk about them amongst the greatest, but they still are just light years, levels ahead of all the supposed superstars today. Yeah. And even Carlito felt like that a little bit. Like when he hit that ring, even with, today's crop, he felt like a star.
Right.
And I don't know if that's to a credit to Carlito or if just a terrible knock, and not on the talents, but how they're presented and how they're treated. And that's just bad branding.
And if you looked at Carlito when that entrance came out, it almost looked like he was holding like two big bags or something. Like his arms just look huge. And they zoomed in. I'm like, yeah, he's gigantic. I was like, I thought he was like holding something just because he was like, I don't know. He just looked absolutely monstrous. Then he got closer. I'm like, okay, yeah, he's huge. Yeah,
huge.
He's a monster. Yeah,
but it didn't hamper him in the ring because he still moved around great.
Yeah.
I loved it when he hit the backstabber. And I'm like, nobody hits it like him, man. Like he originated that shit in WWF. So
then Damian Priest with a
he looked good.
Run.
Yeah, yep.
He did very well.
I'm a big Carlito fan. I was trying to go look for the action figure just now, but I couldn't find
it. I thought you were getting an apple, so sorry.
I have a Carlito action figure that my best friend sent me because that's one of his favorite wrestlers because he liked the guy spit in somebody's face. He was like, I fucking love that. So I was a big Carlito fan. But yes, as you're talking about Damian Priest and then Kane, that was a surprise.
The good Mayor Jacobs got his 50th elimination tonight, which is still a record. It's a new record, so.
18 Royal Rumbles, and I like that nice little touch that they had him come out at 18. So appreciate WWE's for doing that.
That was cool. He got 3 eliminations tonight. He went from 47 to 50. Look, no one's ever going to break that.
Dude, Dolph Ziggler gets up to 30. Do you think he's going to get up to 30 Royal Rumbles, and they'll have him come out as 30 in 13 years?
That'd be kind of cool.
Have him come out
and then just retire because obviously there's no 31. So
did you notice the stat? Him and Edge are the only two guys to be in a Royal Rumble in the 90s, the 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s.
That's incredible.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
The longevity of those guys. And look, Edge, again, still looks fantastic. I mean, he's in the best shape of his life.
Yeah, better. He looks better,
Yeah, absolutely. Just ripped and shredded, which is just amazing. And to go there, what was the official time? Did anybody notate how long he was in the match?
For who? For Kane?
For Edge, sorry.
Edge, over 54 minutes, right?
I think it was like 58, maybe?
Going coast to coast, Edge would have been there for 58:30.
58:30. So,
nice.
And man, his emotions at the end, winning that match was cool. I mean, he's like, "Goddamn right, I'm going to Mania." I said that was cool. And obviously,
that was cool with Orton too, because that almost gave you like that. Oh shit! Like Edge, okay, eliminated Rollins. Like, okay, he won. And he came in, he scared you for a second.
And I wish Cole wouldn't have brought that up to Matt's credit for Cole kind of giving shit away. But I wish Cole wouldn't have said Orton was not yet eliminated from the Rumble. Don't mention it at all. Like, let people forget about it over the next 45, 55 minutes or whatever, and not tell anybody. So when he did come back. It was even more of a shock. We were all waiting to see what was going to happen because they mentioned it several times throughout the match.
Yeah, they even cut the footage of him in the back.
In the back.
Getting attended to by the doctor. And it's one of the worst finishes. And I know it's so hard inside of that gimmick, inside of the Battle Royal gimmick style matches to come up to finishes. But, far too often lately in the last year or so that you see that somebody was outside the ring that you've forgotten about that comes back in to win it. And I was glad that they kind of swerved the swerve on us. Yeah. And they had Edge kind of catch himself and eliminate. Hey, how about Randy Orton? Whatever he's on right now, those burns cleared up amazingly.
He looks fantastic.
In just a short week. That burn cream that he's using is incredible.
I thought he was disfigured for life, and I mean, not even a single scar. I mean, that guy has just amazing genes. I'm telling you.
I was really disappointed that there wasn't like a huge big surprise. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to see a Brock Lesnar. I wanted him to come out at 30. You know, there was speculation. LC has been promoting it for months. It's CM Punk's returning. That would have been something. Like,
Dude,
I tweeted something big.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I tweeted out before it started. I said, if you think CM Punk is coming back, you're Mark. If you think Cesaro is winning the Royal Rumble, you are Mark. Don't be a Mark. That's the internet rumors were abounding. Right.
I just wanted to see something, is what I'm saying. Like,
but I do get that. But yeah, Punk in front of no fans, there's no money there at all.
I think we're forgetting about the biggest moment of the Rumble. Kind of going back to the reference in an AEW move, Bad Bunny with a superior splash, as opposed to Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, no, he killed it. Bad Bunny, I got a lot of heat for Bad Bunny tweets tonight. I tweeted out that is Bad Bunny even speaking English? I said, why is this a thing? And the SJWs were all out after me. All the snowflakes came out and said, I don't speak English, but you're telling me it's not cool to have a Spanish-speaking performer out there? What's wrong with you? Another guy says, you should be blocked and reported. And, I just got a bunch of heat just because of my opinion.
Maybe you should be blocked and reported, Rob.
You know what? Maybe they'll cancel me. Maybe this is my last show. So we'll see. It was a good run, though. It was a really good run.
Rumble.
My wife was like, who is this guy? She's like, I don't listen to Top 40, but apparently he's one of, like, the biggest acts right now. And I had no idea who he was or what he was saying.
No idea.
Booker T in the GI Bro gear, though. That was kind of badass, man. You want to talk to a guy that looks Jack Diesel. Booker T still looks like he can go in the ring.
So he's one of the biggest reggaeton artists right now in the world. So I mean, it's like I said on Twitter to Ray, like I gave WWE credit. They went out and got a big name act who actually is a big superstar right now in his market. And if you are trying to appeal to that Latin market, that definitely was a good way to do it. And of course, Booker T appeared in his music video. So I mean, there was a little connection there. I thought it was a good synergy. And as Rick pointed out, yes, he had a better off the top splash than Snoop Dogg.
So he's like the Pitbull of reggaeton. Is that fair?
I'd say without the less Mr. Worldwide, he's more of like a chill stoner reggaeton. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And he did have a pretty good flying crossbody off the top. Looked like his foot may have slipped before, right as he jumped, which could have been really, really bad for him.
Sweaty up there.
Yeah, lots of
some sneakers on.
Lots of suing would be going on there. But in any event, look, I get the crossover thing. I totally get it. I was just trying to be a dick on Twitter, and I got what I asked for. So that was just something I had to point out. Society Review says Bad Bunny looks like when he was a kid, his classroom was a trailer away from the school.
Well, based on where he grew up, I probably would not disagree with that. I mean,
that's facts,
though. I mean,
that is facts.
World country, probably.
Dolph Ziggler was mentioned as big.
You would think the school uniform was a bunch of the teams that lost the Super Bowl.
This is America. We're allowed to put over America on our own stuff, right?
America. Yeah, apparently I'm not allowed to have an opinion on Twitter anymore. So Dolph Ziggler was in his 14th Royal Rumble and has never won a single one. Do you think the ship has sailed on Dolph Ziggler, Rick?
No, for him to have to be in 14 Rumbles, the career that he's had in WWE, that's remarkable inside of itself. I mean,
it's a hell of a run. Yeah, you can't deny that.
Again, for whatever reason, and I think this just falls on management that he wasn't given more of an opportunity. I mean, the guys, and I mean, look at how phenomenal he still looks after all these years in there.
Yeah.
Incredible performer.
Well, Rick, let's pull back the curtain a little bit. I mean, we get to talk to the vets, Ted and Ben, and of course they've gotten to work with Mr. Ziggler. And while they of course put him over for his in-ring skills on the mic, his creative genius, they have said maybe to his detriment, like any other person that works in a corporate environment, Dolph Ziggler is not afraid to share his opinion. So that I think at long term, unfortunately, put him in a position where WWE probably doesn't feel that they can mold him into their corporate guy, right? So unfortunately, Dolph Ziggler has sailed on being the face of WWE. That doesn't take away from his skill set, though, by any means.
No, that's fair, right?
And Dolph has a way with the ladies as well, so he might have rubbed some people the wrong way. Hell, it could have the pettiness that we get to hear about from behind the curtain and all that. It could have been Cena just Dolph's gotten it's high enough right now, just.
It's a good point. I mean, he had a crush on Nikki, if you watch Total Divas, right? So, I mean, anything is possible. Maybe he rubbed Stephanie.
Well, not even that, but hell, he was with Nikki years before when they were down in developmental.
Yeah, he was. Another surprise we had tonight was, oh Jesus, I lost my train of thought. Oh, sorry, I hate it when I do that.
Booyaka 619.
Dude, it was good to see Ray in a Rumble. The last one I remember him in.
Weird to hear Cole putting over a Mexican beer. That was just a weird little ad.
That was a really weird ad spot, right? Like, Victoria Beer, we have a new development deal with blah, 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 the Mexican beer, and in the middle of the Royal Rumble. Just
weird, dude.
With a little graphic on the side. Like,
did you also notice DraftKings was another sponsor?
I did notice that, yeah. But at least that wasn't like right dead in the middle. Like, he didn't cut a promo in the middle.
Kicked over to the panel or something.
But Chevy also, surprisingly, with a sponsorship there.
And Snickers is back on board. Thank God, because we all love Snickers, right?
I wonder if NBC is helping them get some advertising to.
It's quite possible.
Put into the network right now,
and that may have been part of the deal too. We don't know the language in that contract.
They're given $1 billion, so I'm assuming NBC gets to do whatever they want with the property, it's syndication and distribution, right?
$1 billion over 5 years. That's God. Vince is just.
I'm sure.
He's a fucking genius.
I know. I was gonna say. I'm sure that there's a conditioning in there that they're trying to get people ready for that.
Yeah.
And again, it's NBC saying, shit, we just gave these guys $1 billion. We got to try to get some of this money back.
That's absolutely right. New Day had a tribute to the late Brody Lee. With their ring gear tonight. I thought that was a nice little cool touch that they let them do that, and it was good to see Kofi and Woods and Big E in the back.
Were they split up because of the brand split? Is that what
yes, they were split up because of the brand split. The New Day is still around as far as Kofi and Woods, and Big E's on his own, has a new theme song, has a new gimmick. Cool. He had the potential to win tonight. He was booked really strong, and I thought maybe for a second that they might pull a trigger on him, but it was good to see the three of them back together backstage. Kofi was not medically cleared to wrestle, so we did not get the typical Kofi spot here this year. What I did fail to mention earlier during the Women's Rumble is Naomi does a similar thing herself. She got thrown out, and her feet were still up even though her back was on the ground, her feet were still up in the air, and she used Bianca Belair to help her get back in the ring. So at least we saw a Kofi-esque spot here tonight, even though Kofi couldn't perform in the Rumble. Rick, I'll give this to you. Do you see Big E making any waves this year? Do you think they're going to try to get the train behind him? And I don't want to say Kofi Mania all over again, but it's shit or get off the pot. It's time for Big E to make his mark, other than being a comedy spot in the New Day, and potentially being a main event player.
I think patience. There's still a lot of time with him. He's still got a lot of, there's a lot of shelf life with Big E. I don't see what's wrong with a tremendous run with the Intercontinental title. Going back to our childhood, what you saw. Let him bring some true respect and credibility back to that division. Yeah. I think it would be a little too forced. I know there was a lot of people that were real high on Big E, maybe winning this thing and trying to recapture what they had with Kofi and all that. I think that would just seem like too manufactured and too soon. Maybe next year is his big, marquee WrestleMania run. There's a lot of time between then and then, and I think he's a great champion to have, and let him evolve a little bit more with that personality and let him shine and just grow truly as a star on his own. Just let it happen. Let it flow. Let
it happen organically, and so you prefer the slow burn as a fact,
absolutely,
instead of strapping the rocket to him, so to speak. So, Paz, what do you think of that?
I like it, and I think that even though Big E's been there for a while, slowly built him back up because they haven't really given him the big push, if you will. They haven't strapped the rocket. So have him be the IC champ for a while, get a nice little run going. And I wouldn't even mind if, Reigns is still the champion, or whoever's still the champion at this point, he wins both titles, like a double title kind of thing, like they've done before with a bunch of guys, with Warrior, obviously, most famously. So I wouldn't mind that at all, and just give him a nice, slow little push, but do it the right way and make him be a dominant Intercontinental champion.
See, that kind of was in the back of my mind tonight when I'm thinking halfway through. I'm like, holy shit, Big E might actually win this whole thing. He is the Intercontinental Champion. what if they do like a Warrior type, Warrior Hogan thing like that at WrestleMania 6 and have Big E against Roman Reigns, and they could have had title for title. That was in the back of my mind when I was watching that tonight.
I'll tell you what was exciting is you see potential matchups inside the Rumble, which is one of the great things about it. And I can't be the only one. I kind of perked up when I saw the square off between Bobby Lashley and Big E.
Yes,
that was going to be my point. I'd like to see that be the fallout from this, and we see Lashley versus Big E at WrestleMania. And if there is talk about them ending the brand split again, then that's a perfect way to, put the title on two guys or something like that and have them be the dominant champ.
I mean, two big just hosses going at it. You know what I mean? Like that. It was cool to see those two together, and even Damian Priest did a great job. He had a really, really good showing tonight. There's been talk for a while about him moving up to the main roster, I think specifically on Raw. And to my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't been watching. That hasn't happened yet. Is that correct?
Not yet.
Okay,
not yet,
so
nope.
That may be in the cards, maybe even as far as tomorrow.
Last time I checked, he was doing the Killer Cross thing, right? Because Killer Cross came back and attacked Damian Priest.
Is that what they're doing? Okay, gotcha.
But they kind of wrote him off, though, because Killer Cross kind of killed him off. So it's almost like they wrote him off of NXT.
Then maybe he'll be on Raw tomorrow night.
Maybe tomorrow night.
That's possible. But I thought he did a great job. I thought Matt Riddle did a great job too. I thought Matt had a really, really good showing. I thought Daniel. I was really surprised about Jeff Hardy being out early. Jeff Hardy was in at number 5, and then I think he was out by 6 maybe or so.
Stevie Richards rule: if you're not going to win, go in there, get eliminated. You get the hell out of the building. You get the same pay.
Yep.
Exactly.
Now, do you think he's paying for the sins of his brother, the way that he's been treated, or maybe his own sins?
No, I thought they booked him pretty well over the last, from what I've heard, right? He's been doing different things from being a champion, and then he's been doing the Riddle thing. I mean, he's getting TV time.
Okay. So, like I said, I haven't been watching, so I'm not up to date on everything.
It's a night for others to shine. You got him involved, so you have that star power. If you're not going to have him in those eyes, give him a little bit of a break for the evening. I mean, he goes out there and puts his ass on. I mean, the spots. Just thinking a couple of weeks back when he cracked his skull on the damn steps doing that swanton.
Right. Yeah.
The difference between Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy really comes down to fiscal business. Jeff Hardy sells merch, so no matter what he really does, WWE is not going to put him in the shittiest light because they still want people to buy his merch.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a good point. That's a really good point, and it always comes down to the dollar with Vince. Hurricane Helms made a surprise appearance tonight. I love the fact that he tried to choke slam. What was it, Lashley and Big E at the same time, and they just kind of looked. They looked at him like, "Really, dude?" And they just kind of tossed him out. Dude, I love Shane Helms. He's a good guy. Obviously, he's a friend of the network and friend of the family. With the Hameen brand synergy.
Yes, he has also appeared last year on the New Force Order podcast, Mandalorian episodes. You can go back and check that out.
Definitely check that out. That's on the Hameen Media Group. Look, I do love spots like that where they're not going to win, but it's just a kind of a feel good moment. WWE always seems to have at least 2 or 3 of those every year. I was a little surprised that Sheamus wasn't stronger. Guys, I'll throw it out to you, Paz. Again, the guy's in the greatest shape of his life. Got medically cleared to come back, a couple years ago. What do you do with Sheamus? Does he get another run, or is he just kind of another one of those Kevin Owens, just a really good hand?
Let me jump in here really quick before you
go.
I was just going to say, based on what I saw in just like clips, weren't they setting up? Wasn't like Hogan and McIntyre like making fun of Sheamus backstage or something like that? So
they've been hinting at Sheamus and McIntyre possibly being at odds with each other because Sheamus gave him the sword apparently. So
there you go. So you got Edge versus Roman, and you put Sheamus with McIntyre. Realistically, if they were going to build something off that, but
I don't know if that's a WrestleMania worthy match though. Paz, I'll get to your thoughts on Sheamus and what do you see him as far as 2021?
It's interesting because he's got such a long history and friendship. He's best buddies, literally, with Drew McIntyre. So they have a built-in story. They could, come up with pictures and all this other stuff and really build their history together. But they kind of blew that because they haven't done anything with Sheamus in months. So I thought he was going to get this big push. I thought he was going to somehow get eliminated in the Rumble, but like be some kind of like screw jobby thing where something would happen. But I thought he was going to be dominant. so they could build up Sheamus and McIntyre and have that feud because it's there if they wanted it. Even do like a pre-Mania feud or something. But I thought that they were going to do something with those two guys because that's there. But I guess they just don't see that for Sheamus, which is just interesting to me because I thought he was like one of their boys, but I guess he's not.
And you're right. If they put the machine behind them and have their fantastic video packages and all that, and lay out the breadcrumbs of their storied history as friends and all that, and kind of kayfabe break the fourth wall down. I think that would be
easy build up right there.
Easy,
too, if you want
easy.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of easy build-ups that they have that they're not going to either. So
the problem with Sheamus, unfortunately, just like Dolph Ziggler and just like many superstars over the course of 2003 to 2015, is he was a result of the John Cena syndrome. Anytime somebody would get hot, John Cena would beat them, and their push would be done. Even when Sheamus was the champ, right? That's how he
defeated Cena in a tables match.
I was going to say he defeated Cena in a tables match at Armageddon, and then he held on to that title until he dropped it to him. And then that was, I mean, he's gotten a little bit of runs here and there every now and then from winning the Rumble too. But unfortunately, he's never really been given that full like next level star status that they've really given like a Roman Reigns, right? You know, who they've tried to make.
He's been a transitional guy. Didn't he beat Roman at the Survivor Series in Atlanta several years ago too, as well? So, he's just kind of their go-to guy when they need a solid guy to go in there. And
because he's a chiseled guy, he looks good.
He busts his ass to get back in the ring. I mean, you got to give him credit for that.
You know, the roster.
I was just gonna say to wrap it up, and then just from like a European standpoint, as an American, like his accent doesn't throw you off. He speaks very concisely. You understand what he's saying. So like from a marketability standpoint, everything is there. It's just they never decided to like give Sheamus a full push. Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah. Well, as we're talking about, where do these individuals go? Are they going to get opportunity? Looking at this roster, it really reminds me a lot of going back to right around like WrestleMania 9, 10, 11. And you look at that mid card with great, like you had Money Inc., Big Boss Man. You could go to that mid card and it was, man, these guys, they could go right back in that main event scene, but they're just your fillers. And I think for someone like Sheamus, I could see him maybe getting one of those other like off-season runs, an opportunity like that. But I think for that big picture, those marquee kind of seasons, you're just not going to see it with him.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I agree. Yes, Matt.
I was just going to say if I could just since I'm assuming we're going to be wrapping up here shortly. I wanted to ask if you could maybe pick out what 3 matches you think, other than maybe the main event, do you think is going to happen between the wrestling, the picture itself? And I kind of end up thinking if I was going to book it, I would put AJ Styles versus Drew McIntyre because I'm an AJ Styles mark. And I just think that'd be a great match for WrestleMania. I would, of course, as I already mentioned, Edge and the Goldberg. But if I had to, do other matches, I would definitely do like a Lashley versus Big E. I think that's a great match built in there as well. You can, of course, always do Sheamus versus Drew. I don't know, what are they going to do with Daniel Bryan? You got some of these guys, and that's hard for me as well. Where do you put Daniel Bryan in all of this?
To me, Daniel is in the Jericho spot that he was several years ago when he's putting Fandango over and all that. Like he's just going to be the guy to kind of build up, like he wanted to do with Mustafa Ali and guys like that last year, the year before. I think he's just in that spot to be kind of a mentor and to be someone that can have a good match with anybody and elevate some of the younger talent. That's where I see Daniel Bryan. But I'll throw that over to you, Paz. What do you see for possible WrestleMania matchups here, other than the main event scenes?
Man, it's so hard to predict because now we still have 2 months, 3 months almost, whatever it is, till Mania. And, they got a few pay-per-views in between, so they always change it up. They always change things up. So if you do Edge versus Reigns, okay, that's good. But then who does McIntyre wrestle? Like, do you do McIntyre AJ? I would love McIntyre AJ. I think that kind of makes sense, and that's good, especially if you want McIntyre to have like a good opponent to get a quote-unquote big win over, or somebody that looks good and legitimate. Because like we said, if it's Sheamus, it's not going to really look like a big WrestleMania win. If it's AJ Styles, you can kind of present it in that light. But a guy like Daniel Bryan, you're right. Who's the next guy that they want to put over? That'll be
Braun Strowman, maybe. I don't know.
Or would it be Big E maybe for the IC title? Even
possible.
Put him that to get Big E over. It's going to be somebody. He's the get over guy. He's awesome. He's one of the best guys they have. He's probably the best wrestler, quote unquote, in ring on the roster, but he's just going to be there to put somebody else over. He's not going to be in that main event spot. So it's like, where do you go from there? I guess Asuka maybe against Alexa Bliss. You do Bianca Belair against Sasha Banks, but then where does that leave Bayley? Does Becky Lynch come back? Where do you put Charlotte Flair? Do you do a triple threat and put her in? Because I can't not picture her in a main event women's match for one of the two titles. Or you put her back in a tag match with the women's tag titles, but that seems kind of beneath Charlotte. So I don't know. It's really interesting the way things could play out, but they have to make room for Charlotte being in one of the main event spots. Obviously, Asuka, Becky Lynch is rumored to return. Rousey, I don't think is coming back, which is kind of crappy for them.
I think she's done.
Yeah, she's done, but that's just a big name for them. So they have so many options, but I feel like do Belair, Sasha, that's a given. I think Edge versus Reigns is a given, and everything else is a question mark.
Ronda could have had a pretty good payday, in 2020 if she would have came back. The fact that she didn't have to travel that much,
house shows, yeah,
she didn't have to tour. Yeah, I mean, truthfully that's on her, because I think if she did want to come back, with the people that they had out last year, she definitely would have been welcomed back into the fold. To me, the money is Asuka and Charlotte again. I know we've seen it before, and you could possibly throw Becky in a triple threat because. A lot of people thinking Becky was going to show up tonight as well, or could show up here shortly if she chooses to come back. She's kind of been hinting at a return. You also have the Bella Twins that want to make a comeback too. Obviously, they're not going to be in a main event scene, but yeah, you have the Fiend, who's obviously burnt, dead, gone to hell. I guess we'll see what happens to him when he comes back. For me, the money with AJ is a big guy like a Braun Strowman or like a Drew McIntyre because of the Dabba-Kato factor, which we saw tonight with Dabba-Kato eliminating 2 people from this Rumble. And my wife's like, he can't do that. He's not a legal participant. True, but they set the precedent with Giant Gonzalez, who was mentioned tonight, when he eliminated The Undertaker back in, was it 93? He was not a legal participant. That was his first appearance on WWE television in that horrible, horrible flesh-colored suit, and eliminated The Undertaker from the Rumble, even though he was not a legal participant. It counted. So there is a legal precedence for that in Royal Rumble lore.
I would also make the argument, technically, the competitor still went over the top rope. You know what I mean? Like
they put it over because anything goes inside of a Rumble match.
Right. No disqualifications, they said, even though he's not a legal participant.
Once he goes over the top row, at that point, technically the competitor did his job, in the ring. I mean,
Andre eliminated himself in '89 when Jake brought the snake back out after he got eliminated. So, there's,
Go over the top and touch the floor, both feet, you are eliminated.
That's it. Doesn't matter who does it. So, any one of us can go to the next Rumble next year and just throw people out at will. So.
The best moment of the night was Naomi lying on her back after her feet did not touch the floor. And my phone froze at that point, and I was very happy. Anyway, thank you.
That's fair. That's a fair assessment. There's a lot of nice female.
Did you mean Omos, by the way, not Dabba-Kato? Did you mean Omos?
Oh, Omos, sorry. Yeah, my bad. They're 2 giant men. So, yes, that's thank you for correcting me. That was a funny spot with Strowman going to throw AJ out that direction. He's like, shit. And then switching directions and throwing him out the other side of the ropes. And he's sitting there like, fuck, I didn't think of that. So that was a cool little moment. What did we think of Strowman at number 30? Was that kind of a letdown?
Yes.
Yep. Well, he was in the letdown spot. I feel like if it's not a surprise guy and it's somebody we've seen, and he literally just came back last week, so they almost ruined him as a surprise in general.
Right? Yeah. Don't save it for a week for a nothing episode of TV. But yeah,
I know they wanted to make the other surprises seem bigger, with the Seth Rollins return.
True.
Then why wouldn't Seth Rollins be 30 and you have Strowman be 29? It was bad booking on their part. That was just so lame.
And also to that point, if the 30's not going to win too, either they're not going to go over. Why don't you just have Carlito come out? They would have still got the pop.
Yeah, true. Surprise guy. Yeah,
but the fact that we're not in front of fans, technically, there's the screens, but they can get away with it because the crowd obviously wasn't pissed and it wasn't a letdown. It wasn't the Rey Mysterio thing that happened several years ago when they wanted
control the audio of the volume, so the crowd.
That's true too.
They pump whatever they wanted to.
Well, to speak to that lasting impression is. You want to have those highs, just not on the winner, but those those viewers at home that they'll tune in tomorrow to see what could potentially happen, or tune in Friday. I guess it just might be the Hameen factor. MSG, you probably feel the same way because we hear so much as Braun Strowman doesn't do anything for me. He's a giant. He looks magnificent, but he has destroyed his own business and his character through social media and whatever other platforms. I cannot take him serious as one of those great giants. So it's what we will always, as Hameen always says, we'll always talk about an Andre the Giant where Braun could have been in that conversation, but he's made himself a joke.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I mean, a lot of it was his doing, but a lot of it was just
Vince's office, and I was like, Vince, I'm gonna kill myself, dude.
Right. And that was at that point I was like, oh, come on, bro. Why'd you say that on camera, though? Like, that's something you should have kept yourself, bro. Like,
but I mean, Vince has kind of done it over the years. I mean, he did it with the Big Show. I mean, Big Show.
That's a B12, dude. That's B12, not steroids, man. Check
Big
me
Show,
out in Elf outfit.
Big Show should have been a killer. I mean, he was for a short period of time, but then he's getting, stunned and pinned by Steve Austin. I mean, he did a job literally for everybody during the Attitude Era.
It's just because they kept flipping Show. They flipped him too much back and forth between heel and babyface.
They flipped Kane too, but Kane was still a monster. So I don't know. I mean, that's just.
I believe it was Don Callis that had mentioned this, and when he was working with Kurgan, and he said the day that Kurgan went in there, they were at a Christmas party, some kind of function, and he went out on the dance floor and was cutting it up and having a good time. And he said he knew at that moment when Kurgan showed the office his personality, they were going to make him a joke, and he completely screwed over what they had going on. So you start acting in that fashion, you're going to make the 79-year-old chuckle, and he's going to take that to television so he can continue to make himself laugh instead of you being just that brutal beast of a mountain that you should be.
So Big Show being funny on Saturday Night Live when The Rock was hosting, do you think that was to his detriment?
Probably a lot of that, because he does seem to have a lot of personality and just ribbing backstage and all that. And you look to oppose to the stories that we've heard of how The Undertaker would handle his business. You didn't hear about, him really, although he had his crew and all that, you didn't hear about being, the big cut up or anything like that.
Yeah. Why are we still doing the Messiah thing with Seth Rollins, Paz? I mean, wouldn't this been a perfect time to turn him babyface since he just literally had a baby and, make him a decent contender on the babyface side? Because there's not that many of them right now.
Yeah, I was thinking it too. I'm like, they're like, we haven't seen him in a few months, the Messiah. So I was like, maybe he'll change it up. And nope. So I guess they really just, I don't know, I guess when these guys come back, they technically really don't have anything for them. It's weird. Right. It's like, you're back. We don't have anything for you, but you're back. It's a surprise. Like, there's no thought process involved. Yeah. I would be like, okay, Rollins, when are you coming back? Let's story this out. Okay, you just had a baby. Becky Lynch, you're married to Becky. Let's, you're obviously got to, maybe we'll make you a face. We can have you do this return. There was no thought put into it. Like, just come back. We'll mention that you're back and you haven't been here in months, but there's no character development at all.
They did that last time during his return.
Yeah, that's true.
The fans, they were hungry for him. They wanted to cheer, and they run him out there, and he gives the old cliche, "Where were you when I was injured? I didn't get any." It was
weird.
Embrace it. The fans want to get behind him here. Especially now, if you wanted to have a big face return for Rollins and have him go face Reigns at WrestleMania.
Right. Yeah. No. To me, it's a missed opportunity, man. Burn it down, and that music hits, dude. I think that would have been, even if there's nobody there, it's still a great pop. I would have popped for it at home to see him come back as Seth freaking Rollins, but that's just my opinion. I'm a fan of the guy. I wasn't a big fan of the Messiah gimmick when it started. To me, it's just I'm a religious guy, so I don't ever care for that type of cheap heat. But Matt, you look like you want to say something.
No, it's fine.
Okay, that's fair.
Seth Rollins. He's not the most exciting Messiah character ever, to be quite honest. But yeah, I mean, how did he get injured? Because they wrote him off, right? That's how they got rid of him at Survivor Series. We haven't seen him since then when he lost.
He went out. He was in the team versus
he sacrificed
match,
himself,
and he said, "I do this for you," and he just got kicked and was gone.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I was gonna say he needed to be crucified, but at least he did that. So yeah, he should have came back the babyface. Why? If he came back 3 months later and the stone opened, like, he should have been the babyface, right? That should have been something he should have been. I don't know. Being biblical here.
You're killing me. Overall thoughts on thoughts on the overall pay-per-view RBV as we wrap it up here.
Well, again, it's my favorite gimmick match. So I'm always excited for the Rumble. It's my favorite event of the year. I do think, as we look at WrestleMania being 2 nights, I always wonder if the Royal Rumble could extend to that.
Nights again? Fuck!
Well, because they got to split the audience. So they can only have that certain capacity. But I was even thinking to myself, you know what? Maybe I could have a Rumble weekend where you give me 2 nights of Rumbles because, again, it's a lot to sit through.
Oh, God.
It is, and I mentioned on day 6 of Rad Rumble that if you still have the brand split, why don't we have a SmackDown Men's Rumble?
No, we're not adding Rumble.
A Raw Men's Rumble. But hey, that means whoever doesn't win the Rumble, let's just say for SmackDown now,
like Saturday is just all women's undercard, women's Rumble, then Sunday is the men's turn.
That's fair, but I mean, but logically though, somebody can just go in next month, win a title shot that didn't win the Rumble, and boom, they're going to WrestleMania and didn't have to go through.
You got to survive the chamber,
guys.
Rob. You got to survive the chamber. That's
the
even
chamber.
more brutal.
They have to be, Rick. They've got to be PC. So Saturday night will be the women's Rumble, headlined by the men's championships, and then on Sunday night it'll be the men's Royal Rumble, headlined by the women's championships. So there you go.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, we need Eric Bischoff to come back to promote the chamber since that was his creation. So, Paz, your thoughts on the Royal Rumble as a whole tonight?
Pretty solid overall. I thought it was pretty good. I feel like the people who should have won, and that was kind of like their stars or their guys, and this is who they're going to kind of put the anchors on, and these are going to be their guys going forward. Roman, they like Edge, obviously. Sasha Banks. I feel like these are the guys that are going to. Drew McIntyre, of course, going to be the anchors for the show going forward and going to be the main eventers of WrestleMania. So I feel like everybody that should have won, and they're headed in the right direction. Pretty solid show overall. Definitely better effort than I've seen from them in the last couple of months.
I will agree with that as well. Matt, you haven't watched lately as I haven't either. But your thoughts on tonight's Rumble as an entire pay-per-view?
I mean, it was a 6-7 out of 10 if I was giving it a grade. I wouldn't say this was a bad pay-per-view. That I just, it's a Royal Rumble. I want more surprises. I want more shock and awe.
MSG, did they do enough to potentially have a lost fan like you come back?
I'm probably interested in the Tribal Chief stuff, so maybe while I'm working Friday nights and I'm running SmackDown on Fox, I'll pay a little bit more attention.
The one and only Kaz from Hameen Media Group says it was a good show. That's
great,
absolutely
Kaz.
Right, Kaz. Thanks
Awesome.
for bringing that up. Thanks for that.
Always with the tremendous insight, the Kaz.
100%. He's a man of many words.
Yes.
Look, it's the road to WrestleMania. Even though I haven't been watching lately, I'm gonna watch Raw and SmackDown and NXT leading up to WrestleMania because it's my favorite time of the year. As a 30+ year fan of wrestling, it's been so hard to watch. I stopped watching right around Hell in a Cell time, but I'm ready to pick it back up. I'm ready to get in WrestleMania season. I'm ready to get fired up and hope that we have some decent matches for WrestleMania coming up here in April. Too big for just one night again. And as Paz said, it's it's a COVID deal. They'll probably have 20,000 one night and 20,000 the other night. So Vince can still make his money on an almost full building. I think it holds about 70, if I'm not mistaken, 70 or 80.
65 and a half. 65.8.
RBV, you're just a fountain of information. It's always good to have this.
I was looking it up this
I
afternoon.
just happened to fucking check it out, but yeah, the resident statistician. We should just call you Dr. RBV. You're a doctor of statistics. I think that should be a thing going forward. All in favor?
Sure.
We got the fitness guru, RBB Fitness. That is my specialty.
I love your food posts. RBV Fitness is sweeping the nation and sweeping the world. I joked today that we need to go on a food road trip, but I literally I'll come pick you up and we'll go on a food road trip because you definitely know where to hit all the spots. Matt can join us because he's a skinny little fucker too. So maybe we can put some meat on Matt's bones there and get him beefed up and looking nice and fit. And no, he'll just smoke his time away. So any event, I have no segue for that, guys. I enjoyed breaking down this Royal Rumble 2021 with you guys. It was a fun time. Let's get our plugs out there so everybody knows where to find you guys. I'll start with you, Mr. Vickery. Where can everybody find you on social media? And what do you have going on here, coming up here on HMG?
Well, as we talked about there, if you're a foodie out there and you want to keep up with all my crazy food adventures, there's the hashtag RBV Fitness and my new project that I've just launched, RBV Eats Out, which I just did a debut. Eats Out Cincinnati Wing Week. You can follow me across all social media at The Real RBV. And of course, you might get a double hit of this, but you can catch me Monday mornings. You can catch me in a couple hours here live 8:30 on the Hameen Media Group Facebook page. So I'll be sitting down with Ben Hameen and the good doctor, Ted McNailer, as we're going to be getting the pros' thoughts on tonight's show. And now my weekly question to them is kind of inspired here. I'm going to ask them how they would handle the preparation going into WrestleMania season and how you build that card. So something to check out there. You can find that also the audio versions at heckerhameen.podbean.com, or you can check out all the affiliate programs where you can find this show over at hameenmediagroup.podbean.com.
And I'm a huge fan of the Monday Locker Room. It's such a good show. Thank you, Clover of Luck. He just says, I'm new. I just subbed. Can't wait to rewatch this stream. Thank you very much for that. This is a very sparingly used channel, my Rad Turtles Wrestling Podcast YouTube channel, but I am rebranding. I'm going to have new logos, a shortened name, and I'm going to be relaunching this channel here, so a lot more content will be coming out, and as well as the Hameen Media Group YouTube page, which several of my videos were on this week for the summer of Rad. Jesus Christ, we're not even in fucking summer yet. For the second annual Rad Rumble. I'm tired. It's almost midnight here where I am, but in any event, thank you, Clover of Luck, for subbing. John Paz, Mr. Podcast. Where can we find you, brother, and what you got going on?
For everything for me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at 2Man Power Trip. You can check out my website, tmptempire.com. Got so much stuff going on. Look at that. Nice. Baked something club there. I love it. We've got so much going on, but just check me out on social media and check the latest because there is a lot going on in my world.
So much more than you can handle sometimes, but
Yes.
We appreciate all the hard work that you put in with all of your fantastic shows, and we're so thrilled to have you as part of the brand now with the synergy with Hameen. We got lots of good projects coming up. We got some Patreons coming up here in the future, so lots of good stuff. We're happy to have you on board, and always, we always love it when you come on our shows. Mr. Matthew Schaffer Gage.
I'm your host of the scene where the air is clean and I'm lighting up green. Ya boy, MSG. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Matthew_Schaffer. Each and every week, myself, Ben Hameen, and Chris Silvio break down AEW on the #1, as voted by you, wrestling review show of Hameen Media Group, like The Fuse. So check it out at hackerhameen.podbean.com. Search for it everywhere as well. Check out Check My Bows, a South Park review, where we review South Park in order, linear fashion, to be exact, as we break down each and every episode one by one and give you all the fun facts and hilarity that goes on in the world of South Park. As well, I'm also sponsored by the Baked Boys Club, brand new sponsor. You can use the code SuckMyBallsPod at thebakedboysclub.com if you want to get those fresh threads. If you're a stoner, if you're a gamer, check out Baked Boys Club. You might find something you like. And if you like to get baked and you want to be one of the boys, join the club, BakedBoysClub.com, as well as, of course, patreon.com/StevieRayTV. Sucker, join the Fruit Booty tier or the Slapjack tier. You can also join the Harlem Hangout, where you can hang out with Stevie Ray once a month. You can actually ask him questions face to face. So check out patreon.com/StevieRayTV.
You're such a pro, I'm telling you. You didn't want to plug Broasters or the olive oil gimmick or any of that?
Well, we're on a different channel. I didn't want to do that.
It's all part of the same family, man. Come on. Guys, all my fans, all my listeners, I appreciate everyone's support over this past week. The Rad Rumble was a overwhelming success. All 7 shows I did this week got really, really nice, positive reviews. So I do thank everyone out there across the world for listening to my shows. I put a lot of work into this week. It's a passion project of mine. I do it for all the major shows. I do it for Royal Rumble. I got Rad Mania 3 coming up here during WrestleMania, and I also have the Summer of Rad, the 3rd annual, coming up this summer for SummerSlam. Survivor Series can suck a bag of dicks because nobody cares about that pay-per-view at all anymore. So, again, I couldn't do any of this without you guys here and without my fans and listeners across the world for making this week absolutely worth my exhaustion. So, thank you to everybody involved, especially Matt, for helping me get my shows out there and, having to deal with me, bossing you around and telling you when to put things up and where to put them up. And, I appreciate your help. No, don't be shy. You're an important cog in the machine here that keeps things rolling. I've told you that many, many times. Without
You don't tell me shit.
Oh,
you can kayfabe it, but that's fine. That's fair.
Shit to do.
Paz, RBV, MSG. Thank you guys very, very much for being here. I had a blast talking to you guys. This went an hour longer than I expected, but I have so much fun talking to you guys, so it was definitely well worth it on my end. At least I crossed that one off the bucket list that I got to speak with the one and only RBV, the legendary producer and host at HMG.
Can you do me a favor, Rick, before we sign off? Can you stick your hand up and point at the logo there? Other way. No. Can you stick at the screen, on the screen?
Oh, right there. Everybody sees it.
Yeah,
there.
point it at Red Rumble's logo. Point at Red Rumble's logo, though. No. Put your finger up and go and point
That
at
way.
it.
No.
I'm all right. I don't want to do it.
So point at the sign, guy. You can't even point at the goddamn sign.
Again, everybody that
Check
tuned
it
in.
out.
That tuned in tonight on my YouTube channel. I appreciate it. Thank you for all the comments and interaction we had here tonight. Far more than I expected for a channel that has got about 6 subscribers. So
I shared it everywhere.
you're such a
welcome.
good helper. He's a good elf. We'll give him a pass. We'll be back right here for another RTW Rewind, which is on Hacker Hameen, Yalla. Every Sunday, breaking down the main events of the past, pay-per-views of the past, speaking with influential personalities from the sport of professional wrestling, some of which you heard this week: Jimmy Corderas, Brutal Bob Evans, and the one and only B, Brian Belair. We have much, much more to come. So thank you for everybody to tune in this week, and thank you everybody to tune in tonight, and we'll see you on the next one.